What comes to mind when you think of spirituality? You might picture beautiful temples, ethereal instruments, golden Buddhas, gardens and forests of paradise, the faces of enlightened masters, angels, mountain ranges, sunsets, or any number of other dazzling images. We tend to associate spiritual awakening with transcendental and heightened states of being that are invariably associated with feelings of happiness, joy, deep inner peace, and contentment. While all of this is true and wonderful, many of us become intoxicated, distracted, and ensnared by these highly attractive images of spirituality, avoiding the darker, painful, and more demanding sides of such a path. At its core, spiritual bypassing is like any other form of avoidance that rewards us with a false feeling of security and happiness, while undermining the deeper path of spiritual integration, transformation, and oneness. This concept, known as spiritual bypassing, a term coined to describe the act of using spirituality as a defense mechanism, a way to avoid dealing with uncomfortable emotions or unresolved issues in our lives. It's an easy trap to fall into, using our spiritual practices not as a path towards growth and transformation, but as a form of escapism. And the dangers of becoming a spiritual bypasser are real. To spiritually bypass is to use spirituality to avoid, suppress, or escape from uncomfortable issues or areas within life. It can lead to avoidance of personal growth, masking of deeper emotional wounds, and hindrance of true spiritual integration. This phenomenon can manifest in various forms, each offering a unique escape route from the discomfort of confronting our emotional realities. Spiritual bypassing is an intricate phenomenon, manifesting in numerous ways. We will now explore 10 of these manifestations. Our first type of spiritual bypassing is the optimistic bypass. This bypass is like a bandage on a deep wound, a temporary fix that doesn't address the root of the problem. It's all about excessive positivity, a relentless pursuit of the bright side, often at the expense of acknowledging and dealing with negative emotions or harsh realities. The optimistic bypass is not about genuine joy or hope, but rather an escape mechanism, a way to sidestep discomfort and pain. While positivity is crucial, it becomes a bypass when it serves as an escape route from reality. Next, we delve into the victim bypass. This is a peculiar form of spiritual bypassing where individuals use their spiritual beliefs as a shield to avoid personal responsibility. They often cast themselves as the victim, blaming circumstances, fate, or other people for their problems. This bypass is a dangerous detour on the path to genuine spiritual growth, as it prevents us from acknowledging and working on our shortcomings. Instead of using spirituality as a crutch to avoid responsibility, we should use it as a tool for self-improvement and empowerment. Spirituality should empower us, not provide an excuse for playing the victim. Our third bypass is the psychonaut bypass. This intriguing bypass involves the use of spiritual experiences, often induced by mind-altering substances, as a smokescreen to dodge emotional wounds. It's a cosmic journey, yes, but one that's used as a detour around personal issues rather than a path through them. The danger here is mistaking escapism for enlightenment and forgetting that the real work of spirituality is about facing our shadows, not fleeing from them. True spirituality involves personal growth, not escapism. Now, let's look at the horoscope bypass. This intriguing bypass involves individuals using astrology, tarot, or psychics as an escape hatch from personal responsibility and decision-making. It's when we hide behind the stars and planets, blaming them for our actions or lack thereof. We might say, Mercury is in retrograde, I can't help being moody, or I'm a Sagittarius, I just can't commit. But here's the thing. Astrology should be a tool for understanding ourselves better, not an excuse to bypass personal growth. Astrology should guide us, not dictate our lives. There are still more forms of spiritual bypassing to uncover. Let's delve deeper. The aggrandizement bypass is a fascinating one. It's when an individual uses spirituality to inflate their ego, often claiming to possess advanced spiritual knowledge or abilities. It's a form of self-deception, a way to hide insecurities and avoid confronting personal shortcomings. Next, we have the karma bypass. This is when individuals dismiss their or others' suffering as karma or destiny, thus avoiding empathy and personal responsibility. It's a way to sidestep the discomfort of engaging with the pain of others. The guru bypass is another type. Here, people place an unhealthy amount of faith in a spiritual teacher, often ignoring their own intuition or critical thinking. Essentially, they're bypassing their own personal growth by outsourcing it to someone else. Then there's the saint bypass. As children, many of us were conditioned to believe that a spiritual person is always kind, compassionate, and saintly. In adulthood, many of us continue to repeat this story to ourselves, and sadly, it can create tremendous suffering. The saint bypass is a reflection of extreme black or white thinking, promoting the underlying belief that spiritual people can't have dark sides because that would make them unspiritual. This type of spiritual bypass is essentially avoidance of one's shadow self, dark side, by overcompensating with the guise of a sweet and heavenly exterior. The martyr complex is a major symptom of this type of bypassing. The prayer bypass circumvents personal responsibility by putting faith in a higher being to solve all of our problems and issues. While praying is certainly a healthy practice, it can easily become limiting and misguided for some who sink too much into passivity, is an imbalanced way to live life, and can easily lead to disaster. We must learn to take action and trust our own instincts as well. Finally, let's touch on the finger-pointing bypass. At some point on our spiritual quests, we begin to see through the lies, delusions, and crazy behaviors committed by our fellow human beings, and this can make us angry, downhearted, and frustrated. However, when we get caught up in everything that is wrong with the outside world and other people, dedicating our lives to the self-righteous quest of finger-pointing, this can be another form of spiritual bypassing. Finger-pointing instills us with a false sense of righteousness, taking away the responsibility of looking inside and working on ourselves. At its roots, the finger-pointing bypass is sourced in egocentric separation and fearful avoidance of our own shadows. These 10 types of spiritual bypassing, while different in nature, all serve the same purpose: avoidance. Having understood these bypasses, how can we recognize and avoid them? Recognizing and avoiding spiritual bypassing is a journey of self-awareness and emotional honesty. It involves understanding that spirituality is not an escape route, but a path to genuine growth and inner transformation. This starts with acknowledging that spiritual practices are not a panacea for all emotional issues. They are not meant to be used as a shield to hide from our emotional wounds, or to avoid taking accountability for our own actions and confronting the uncomfortable realities of our lives. This understanding leads us to the importance of emotional honesty. It is about being truthful with ourselves about our feelings and experiences. It means not sugarcoating our emotions with spiritual jargon or dismissing them as mere illusions. Emotional honesty requires us to face our shadows, to admit our fears, our anger, our sadness, and our pain. It compels us to confront the parts of ourselves that we would rather not see. But this journey is not one that we should undertake alone. Therapeutic support plays a crucial role in helping us navigate the complexities of our emotions and psychological wounds. A diverse, empathetic community can provide the understanding and support we need as we grapple with our emotional realities. Psychological support can also help us unblock subconscious beliefs and create new neural pathways for personal growth, as the manifestation business to be magnetic suggests. The integration of psychology, neuroscience, and spirituality in our approach to personal growth can help us avoid the pitfalls of spiritual bypassing. It can ensure that our spiritual practices are grounded in emotional honesty and psychological understanding. To recognize and avoid spiritual bypassing, we need to remember that spirituality isn't about escaping from our emotional realities, but about embracing them. It isn't about denying our pain, but about healing it. And it isn't about bypassing our human experience, but about fully living it. Spirituality should facilitate growth, not hinder it. Dare to face your cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, CD, is a state of being where a person's beliefs and behaviors don't align. Cognitive dissonance generally happens to people who hold two contradictory beliefs and have a sophisticated spiritual ego. The result of CD is a sense of underlying uneasiness, anxiety, guilt, and like something isn't quite right. Those who carry a lot of cognitive dissonance tend to explain away their behavior or that of others and live in denial. Facing the truth is too painful, so reality is avoided, and a false reality is created instead. For example, following a narcissistic spiritual teacher who says one thing and does the other, claiming to be a healer with special abilities, but on some level knowing that it's a pretense and placebo. Following a non-dual philosophy, but being dogmatic about it, and so on. Facing cognitive dissonance involves doing shadow work and examining places and behaviors in your life that don't add up. This practice isn't about shaming yourself or being more perfect, but being honest and clearing away any self-delusion. In the end, spirituality is a personal journey, fraught with challenges and opportunities for growth. Throughout our discussion, we've delved into the complex phenomenon of spiritual bypassing, a tactic of using spirituality to evade confronting uncomfortable emotions or issues. We've explored its various manifestations, from the optimistic bypass, painting rosy pictures to avoid pain, to the victim bypass, using spirituality to justify victimhood, and even the psychonaut and horoscope bypasses, where individuals misuse spiritual practices or astrology as escapes from reality. Moreover, we've shed light on the importance of recognizing and steering clear of spiritual bypassing. It's vital to remember that spiritual growth isn't about dodging hardships, but rather about confronting and overcoming them. Genuine spiritual development requires us to peel back the layers of our emotions, even when they're difficult to face. It involves healing our emotional wounds and transforming ourselves from within. In our quest for spiritual growth, let's not forget the essence of spirituality. It isn't about escaping life's trials, but about learning and growing from them. Remember, true spirituality involves facing our fears and embracing our emotions, not avoiding them. Before we wrap up, we'd like to extend our sincerest gratitude for joining us on this enlightening journey into the realms of spirituality. We hope this exploration of spiritual bypassing has offered you valuable insights and tools to navigate your own spiritual journey more authentically and meaningfully. If you found this video helpful and enlightening, kindly give it a thumbs up. Your likes help us reach more people seeking to deepen their spiritual understanding. And if you have any thoughts, experiences, or insights on spiritual bypassing that you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments section below. We value your perspectives and are eager to hear from you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and click the bell icon to receive notifications for our upcoming videos. We regularly delve into various spiritual and personal growth topics, so there's always something new and enlightening to look forward to. Once again, thank you for your time and for being part of our spiritual community. Remember, spirituality isn't about bypassing the realities of life, but about learning, growing, and transforming through them. Here's to our shared journey of authentic spiritual growth. Until next time, keep transforming, stay curious, and keep growing.